Secretary, now we know from a new Senate report that Trump directly and repeatedly tried to pressure leaders at the DOJ to overturn his election loss based on election fraud lies. Those attempts to delegitimize President Biden's win sowed enough doubt to incite the insurrection on January 6th. So how close do you think we came to a full constitutional crisis, and how accountable do you think President Trump should be for that?
You know, I think we not only came close to a full constitutional crisis, I think we're still in it.
Yeah.
Their continuing attacks on the election, their refusal to say, you know what, we've counted these votes, it's over, we're going to move on, has sown so much doubt. And then you combine it with the disinformation network known as Facebook, and you've got a volatile mix. So yeah, we are still in the midst of a concerted, well-funded effort to undermine American democracy.
All right, Hillary Clinton back in public yet again.
Well, first of all, the first thing I want to say is anybody who knows me knows that I'm not the biggest fan of the Clintons. Not a huge fan of Hillary at all times. And I was even less of a fan of Bill Clinton. But having said that, I want to say get well to Bill Clinton. I think it came out that he's suffering from some sort of infection right now, non-COVID related. So get well, Bill Clinton.
They said it was a urinary tract infection that turned into a blood infection.
Right. So we want him to get well, and urinary tract infections can be particularly painful. And if it got into his blood, I'm sure it's even more uncomfortable. So we want him to get well here on Vince and Jason Save the Nation. Now, having said that, you know, I don't think she necessarily said anything that isn't pretty mainstream Democratic views. I don't think that there was anything necessarily earth-shattering there. These are things that, you know, Democrats and Republicans are going to disagree about. But, you know, Secretary Clinton, I don't even think that this was a dose of haterade either. I think she is stating the fact that we probably are near a constitutional crisis in some ways, you know, and more crises await us in the future when we're talking about elections and the fact that people will in the future not admit losses, not concede losses, always claim fraud, have a million different audits that the public pays for, even in places where they win, just really just searching for some inkling that something went wrong so that they can make it, you know, bigger than it actually was. I think that's terrifying for our democracy moving forward. And so I don't think she was necessarily wrong about that. I think Hillary Clinton always wanted to be president.
Yeah.
You know, and I think she's upset that she's not president, or, you know, that, you know, a guy who, I don't know how she feels about Joe Biden, but I think she thinks she'd be a better president. Maybe she would, maybe she wouldn't.
Of course she thinks that.
But I think she feels legally cheated because of everything that happened in 2016. She thought she was the heir apparent to Obama, and it didn't happen. I think she's frustrated by that. But I don't think that that's what you heard in those comments. I think those comments actually are pretty mainstream views for about half of the country.
Yeah, this is like the arsonist pretending to be the firefighter, I think. I mean, she is, you want to talk about undermining democracy. I don't think anyone has played more of a central role in the last few decades than Hillary Clinton at that prospect. I mean, in 2016 and in the wake of it, and you kind of hinted at it a moment ago, talked about it, you know, she has insisted that she was done dirty in that election entirely, and that it was an unfair outcome. It should have never happened. She should have been president of the United States. And she maintained that position up until this day. And not only did she do that, but she was involved in some of the most disgusting, underhanded tactics that really did thwart the tools of democracy, including generating this bogus opposition research packet through Christopher Steele, that British foreign national, designed to attack her political opponent on the basis of false information and then inject it into the government, where everything came out of control there as the intelligence community and the security state apparatus were weaponized for political ends, that's not democratic at all. That's not in any way democratic, and it completely undermines our institutions and hurts our country. So, look, I think it is entirely appropriate to have sort of this, 30,000 foot analysis where you say, well, we should be careful before we create distrust in election results, and what does that do to our system? And if people, and if you're misleading people, that's disruptive in an abusive way. I respect all those types of arguments if they're made by somebody who hasn't actually been a part of the arson of our system. And Hillary Clinton, she's definitely been that person.